Hello and welcome to this video. We are going to make an introduction on how to factor quadratic expressions. So what is a quadratic expression? So a quadratic expression is whereby the highest power of x, or a variable, for this case we are using x as our variable. So the highest power of x is 2. So that's a quadratic equation. So we have other expressions where we have the highest power of x is 3. Okay, you will see an equation that starts with x cubed is plus something plus something. So that is known as a cubic equation. Then we also have x where the highest power of x is 1. That is known as a linear equation. And we have done some bit of linear equations in the past. So in this video, we are going to talk about quadratic equations, how to factor quadratic equations. And we are going to start with equations, or not equations rather, but expressions. There's a difference between an expression and an equation. So we are going to start with expressions or quadratic expressions where the coefficient of x is 1. The number that is appearing just before x squared is 1. So that is what we are going to look at in this video. So before we look at this example, let's look at this illustration here. So let's say we have x plus a times x plus b. So don't worry about a and b. So a and b are coefficients, or rather are constants just like 2, 3, -1, -2 and all that. So let's work out this. So let's multiply these two. So we're going to have x, and then so x we multiply this other bracket, so x plus b, and then plus a we multiply a by this other bracket, so x plus b. So we're going to have x squared plus bx plus ax plus ab. So now when we look at bx and ax, you can see that they are like terms, or the x is common for both cases. So we can factor out x so that we have something like this: x squared plus, so b plus a x, and then plus a b. Okay, so we have factored out x. So when we look at this expression, you can see that it resembles this example here, in that x squared, we have an x squared and an x squared. Well, let me use a different color to make our work look neat. So we have x squared and x squared. Then there's something that I want us to note here, that the coefficient of x, for this case is b plus a. So this means that this coefficient of x represents the sum of a and b. And then this last term here is a constant that is representing the product of a and b. So you can see it's a times b. So in other words, so we have said that this coefficient of x represents the sum of a and b, and then this one represents the product of a and b. So we can go back to our example here. So we have said that this coefficient of x represents the sum of two numbers, and then this one represents the product of the same two numbers. So we can ask ourselves, which are these two numbers that have their sum as 5, and their product as 6? Which two numbers, when you add them, you get 5, and then when we multiply them, we get 6. Let me show you a way that we use to get these two numbers first. So what we do is that first we write the factors of 6, the two numbers that you can multiply and get 6. So two of them is 1 and 6. 1 and 6, you can multiply them and you get 6. Then 2 and 3. Okay, I believe we are done. So let's start with 1 and 6. When you add 1 and 6, do you get 5? You don't. What about 2 and 3? When you add them, you get 5. And when you multiply them, you get 6. So these are the two numbers that we are interested in. So the numbers that have their sum as 5 and their product as 6 are 2 and 3. So this represents A and B. Okay, these are what represents A and B. So 2 can be A or 3 can be A and the other one becomes B. So when we factor this expression, we mean we are going to have something like this: X plus A. So A, we can use 2, and X plus B. So B is going to be 3. So if you take A to be 3, then definitely B becomes 2. And that is how to factor that expression. If you want to know whether you have done it right, what you just need to do is to multiply these two, or to expand this. When you expand it, or when you multiply these two, you're going to get our expression here, that is x squared plus 5x plus 6. In fact, we can try that out together. So we can have x, we multiply by x plus 3, and then plus 2, we multiply by x plus 3. Let's see whether we're going to get that. So it's x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 3. So 2x and 3x, we can put them together, we can add them, so that we have x squared plus 5x plus, 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, I'm sorry for that. So this should be 6. So it's going to be x squared plus 5x plus 6. And you see that we have gotten x squared plus 5x plus 6. So that is how to factor that expression. So let's look at another example. So let's say this time round we have x squared plus 7x plus 12. Okay, so as we have said, this coefficient of x, that is 7, represents the sum of two numbers. Okay, of two numbers, let's say A and B, and then this one represents the product of those two numbers. So we need to ask ourselves, what are these two numbers that have their sum as 7 and their product as 12? Which are these two numbers? So as I told you, if you want to get them fast, what you need to do is to first write the factors of 12. The numbers that when you multiply, you get 12. So let me start with 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. I believe those are the ones. Okay. So let's start with 1 and 12. When you add 1 and 12, do you get 7? You don't. 2 and 6, you also don't get 7. So we have 3 and 4. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and 3 times 4 is 12. So these are the two numbers that we are interested in. That is 3 and 4. So we said factoring this expression means writing it as x plus A and x minus x plus B. Okay, so we can take any of them, either 3 and 4, to be A and B. So this is going to be x plus 3, x plus 4. Okay, and that way we have factored that expression. So if you want to see whether it's correct, you just need to expand it or to multiply these two, to open these brackets, and you see that you're going to get this expression as your answer. So let's look at one maybe final example. I want us to use to use negative signs. It's not difficult. It applies the same knowledge. Okay, so let's have x squared minus 2x minus 15. Okay, so we need to factor this expression. So how do we go about it? So as we said, negative 2, for this case, we are going to use, okay, let me write it this way. It's x squared plus negative 2x and then plus negative 15. Okay, but from our knowledge, we know that a plus and a minus can be represented by a minus. Okay, so instead of writing plus minus 2x, we just write x minus 2x. Okay, so don't get confused. Okay, so negative 2 is going to represent the sum of two numbers, and negative 15 is going to represent the product of those two numbers. So what we need to ask ourselves is which are these two numbers that when you add them, you get negative 2. You get negative 2, and when you multiply them, you get negative 15. What are those two numbers? So the first thing that we are going to do is to write the factors of 15. Just first of all, ignore the negative sign first. Let's have, so the factors of 15, we can have 1 and 15. We can have 3 and 5. I believe it's only those ones. Now, let's look at 1 and 15. So these ones are too far from our answer, from the sum that is negative 2. Even if we try to play around with the signs, okay, it is too far from negative 2. So let's look at the others, that is 3 and 5. 3 and 5. Okay, so let's try to play around with the negative sign. So let's say we have a negative, we introduce a negative sign to 3. So what is going to be the sum? It's going to be negative 3 plus 5. It's going to be 2. But here we don't need 2. We need a negative 2. So let's do this. Instead of having negative 3, let's have negative 5 and positive 3. So negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. What about negative 5 times 3? It's negative 15. So those are actually the two numbers that we are interested in. That is negative 5 and 3. Okay? So one of them is A. We can take A to be negative 5 or 3, whichever you like, and B. So as we said, factoring this expression means writing it in terms of x plus A and x plus B. Okay, so we can have, it's going to be x plus A. We can take A to be negative 5 and x plus B, which is 3. Okay, but as we said, if we have a plus followed by a negative, we can replace it by a negative sign. So instead of having x plus minus 5, we can have x minus 5 and x plus 3. Okay, and that way we have factored that expression. If you want to confirm, you can just multiply these two and you see that you'll get that expression. So I want to leave it at that. So we have been looking at expressions or quadratic expression whereby the coefficient of x squared, is 1. So you can see for all these expressions that we have looked at, the coefficient of x was 1. Okay? The coefficient of x for this case was 1, and also for this other one, the coefficient was 1. So in the next video, we are going to look at quadratic expressions where the coefficient of x squared is not 1. It's a different number. Maybe 2 or 5. We are going to look at that in the next video. So goodbye for now, and thank you for watching, and let's meet in the next video. So I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description box so that you can get to learn about it. So thank you for watching.